A new semester is starting and you know what that means. Goal time. My name is Megan. I'm an ESL teacher in Southern China. Welcome to Teacher Talk, where we just sit down with a cup of coffee, a cup of tea today, and talk about all things teaching. Can you hear the construction? Of course you can. This is what happens when you live in a country that is obsessed with development. Every year I sit down to write new goals, and this time they were a little bit more like intentions, but let's just dive in. The first goal I have for this semester, and maybe the most important goal, is I really want to add in more culture this year. I feel like in the last few years I've gotten very focused on teaching the content, and I've kind of forgotten that I'm an international teacher. One of the most fun things about having an international teacher is being able to share things about the culture that they're not going to learn from their local Chinese teachers, that they're not going to learn from their textbook. So I've decided to do this in two different ways. In one of my classes, I'm going to have an additional bonus lesson each week with them. And instead of just teaching more content, I'm going to focus on teaching a little bit of culture. In my other classes, I'm teaching a lot of listening classes this year. I'm going to add a cultural moment at the end of the lesson. And during the last 5 or 10 minutes, we're just going to talk about different aspects of American culture. I think this is a really easy way to add in a bit of culture that makes the end of the class more interesting, but it also gives students a chance to learn more about culture. And I feel like I've been neglecting that a little bit over the last few semesters, and I want to add that back in. My second goal is that I want to allow more time for discussion. Last semester, I also taught listening, and I just felt like most of the class leaned towards the listening side instead of discussion and speaking. Of course, I would add in discussion questions and give students a chance to practice their spoken English, but I just felt like it was an afterthought, or it was a very small portion of the lesson, and I want to balance the listening and the speaking aspects a little bit more equally. So that just means giving them more complex discussion questions and making sure I've added 2 or 3 sections in the entire lesson where they're able to turn to their partner and discuss something. My next few goals or intentions are very focused on the admin behind the scenes type of work that I'm going to do. One thing I did last semester that I want to continue is keeping up with all of my attendance sheets and paperwork. When students come into the class, I don't call roll, but I do mark down their attendance. And sometimes in a little bit of the craziness, I always write it down, but I don't make sure that everything is up to date and perfectly laid out. So when I come to the end of the semester and I'm totaling up their participation scores and their homework scores and their attendance scores, things are a bit messy and they're in 2 different notebooks and I have to combine everything, and I just don't want to do that. So at the end of every single class, before the next class comes in, I'm challenging myself to keep up with everything and make sure everything is updated at the end of every class. I did do this last semester, and it made the end of the semester so much easier for me. Along with that, I really want to simplify my exam grading process. This semester, I will have spoken exams, and I did this last semester for the first time, and I am kicking myself that I did not do this earlier in my teaching career. I've been teaching for almost 10 years, and as I've gone on, my grading process has gotten more and more and more simplified, but last semester, I took it to the next step, and I want to continue that and see if I can take it further as well. I know what I'm doing, just to grade it, give a final score, and move on. I do have some videos all about my grading process if you want to watch them. Honestly, I should probably make an updated one because I've changed a lot in the last couple of semesters. My next goals are all about the lesson planning process. So first, I want to be 2 weeks ahead with my lesson planning. I know that might sound excessive, but I've got a lot going on. I'm doing my PhD and I'm about to start writing my dissertation, and I just know if I'm 2 weeks ahead, it gives me peace of mind, and that is more valuable to me than almost anything else because I got a lot going on. I need to protect that mental health there. And it's also just really nice to know what's going to happen as I'm teaching this lesson. I can kind of give students a preview of what we're going to talk about in the future, and it's really just for my own peace of mind. Another thing I want to do is I want to have designated batching times and perhaps do something like super batching. Now, batching is the process that I do to manage all the different parts of my life. So on Monday, it will be lesson planning for this class. On Tuesday, it will be lesson planning for this class. On Wednesday, it will be reading for my PhD. On Thursday, it will be writing for my PhD. That's how I stay sane with so much going on. And to be honest, I got a little bit out of the habit of that at the end of last semester, and I need to remind myself going into this semester that batching saves my life. It's really great that I'm just able to focus on one thing at a time, especially when I'm just able to focus on one class. I know what vocabulary words they studied in the last lesson. I can use those for the review in the next lesson. It just makes the lesson planning process so much faster if I'm focused on one class at a time versus trying to do a lot of different things. I also want to experiment with super batching. Now, super batching I don't think it's a real thing. This is just something that I call it. And that means really taking batching to the next level. Not just on Monday, I am planning my freshman classes. It's going even deeper and planning out all of the homework all at the same time, or searching for all the videos that I need to include all at the same time, or choosing all of the vocabulary words for the next couple of weeks all at the same time. Because even in something like lesson planning, there are so many different aspects. You have to be creative when you're thinking about the different discussion questions or the different projects you want them to do. You have to have a different thought process though when you're selecting the videos that you're going to include in the lessons. So I want to take batching to the next level and super batch. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted. Next one that might be a little bit controversial is talking about my relationship with administration. We all know that administration can be a huge part of how well your semester goes. And to be honest, there have been a lot of hiccups with my administration lately, especially last semester. And so one thing I want to remind myself of moving into this next semester is to match the energy that the administration is giving me. Sometimes I waste so much extra energy on things that don't actually come to fruition or are things that the administration doesn't actually care about. For example, one of my classes just doesn't have textbooks. All the other classes have textbooks, but this one class doesn't have textbooks. And this happens almost every semester. And I know I could spend my energy trying to fight this, trying to explain to the administration why it's necessary to have a textbook. I shouldn't have to explain why it's necessary to have a textbook, but you know, here we are. And I could spend so much extra energy trying to get a textbook for my students, but I know it's not going to happen. And so if the administration doesn't care that their students don't have textbooks, I should match that energy. And instead of wasting all of my energy trying to fix something that I know won't be fixed, instead take that energy into lesson planning. Direct that energy towards the students, not towards the administration. Put all of my extra energy into making the lesson as good as I possibly can for my students, in finding creative solutions and working around not having a textbook. So I just want to be careful of my energy. I want to make sure I'm not wasting my energy, but instead I'm taking my energy and putting it towards my students because they are the ones that matter the most. Speaking of students, my next goals are all about them. I really want to loosen up a little bit this semester and not be so strict with them. Last semester with these students was actually quite enlightening. For the first time, I would say I really had students who really significantly struggled with attention span. Usually there will be some students who struggle and some students not, but I don't know if it was because of COVID and because of spending so many years doing online or hybrid learning, but these students collectively, these 400 students, have had such problems with attention span. And last semester, I got a little bit strict with them in response to that. And I'm wondering now if perhaps maybe loosening up a little bit is going to be a more successful solution for this. We all know that all students are different. Different classes have different needs, different abilities, different students. But I'm wanting to go about this from a different perspective, maybe by loosening up a little bit, giving them a little bit more time and space, it might yield better results. So I just want to loosen up a little bit more with them. And the last thing I really want to do this semester is I just want to have fun with my students. Sometimes you can get so caught up in all of the paperwork and all of the admin red tape and all of the other things that you have to do in planning lessons and grading homework and all the other things that go into teaching, that it's sometimes easy to forget or overlook enjoying the students. The students will forever and always be the best part of teaching, and now that the students have had me for one semester, they've loosened up a little bit, they know me a little bit better, I want to just enjoy them. I want to have fun with them. I want to bring back that love and light of teaching in the face of so many complicated things. I have a lot of lesson planning that I have to do this semester, and I have a lot of complicated lesson planning I have to do this semester. And there's still a lot of red tape going on at my school. My school is transitioning from a 3-year school to a 4-year school, and so there's just a lot of chaos happening on the back end of things, and I don't want all of that to distract me from my students. I love them so much. They're the reason that I am a teacher, and I just want to enjoy them. So when I'm walking into the classroom and I'm thinking about all the things I have to do, and I'm thinking about the paperwork, and I'm thinking about the admin, and I'm thinking about all of this, I just want to be able to let it go when I walk into the classroom. When I look at them, when I see them, enjoy them. Ask them about their weekend. Ask them about their days. Have fun conversations with them in class. And I'm really looking forward to that part of this semester. So those were my 10 goals for this semester. And like I said, they're not really goals. I don't know, they feel more like intentions to me. A goal feels like something that is has a clear step and you can check it off at the end of the semester, but these are really more of the intentions that I want to bring in. And I think this video is a little bit shorter than I expected. We got a lot going on. We have construction going. We have a typhoon that's coming in, but you know what? Sometimes I overthink the idea of goal setting. Sometimes I overthink preparing for the new semester. So if that's you, if you're overthinking everything that you have to do for this semester, if you're overwhelmed by all the things that you want to accomplish, maybe you've already even started your semester and you're like, oh, great, I didn't even set goals for this semester. It doesn't have to take that long of a time. I just literally sat down one afternoon with a little scrap of paper and wrote out everything that I wanted to do. It only took me a few minutes, but truly, at the end of every semester, this is one of the things that I'm always so grateful that I did, because there is so much going on as a teacher. You will have bad days, you will have bad classes, and sometimes it's nice to know that, even if your lesson plan didn't go perfectly, if you know, okay, well, at the end of the day, we talked about culture, which was one of my main goals. At the end of the day, I enjoyed my time with the students, and that was one of my goals. If at the end of the day, we had more discussion than we did last semester, and that was one of my goals, then we were still able to accomplish some of the main goals I had for the semester. Then sometimes that's all you can do. Also, I know these are a lot of goals. 10 is a lot. So if I had to choose the most important, I guess I would say adding in more culture, adding in more time for discussion, and just having fun with the students and enjoying them. Okay, that is all for today. If you'd like to see more videos about life in China, teaching, teacher tips, anything more about teaching, you're welcome to watch the other Teacher Talk episodes. Subscribe, comment, like, and I will see you next time.